What's up, sons? It's Blind Rod with Son of a Tech. Once again, today we're going to be talking about DeFi, which is short for decentralized finance. Essentially, it's a decentralized way to borrow, lend, and of course, trade, depending on, of course, what you're trying to do and which platform you're using. Examples of these platforms would be Uniswap, as well as Binance Smart Chain, PancakeSwap, and if you move on over to a side chain of Ethereum, Matic, Polygon, there is Aave as well. And all of these basically function in a manner that allows you to participate financially without the oversight of some third party. That being said, what we are talking about in particular today is going to be the Uniswap governance funding of a lobby group for decentralized finance. We will also be taking a look at Ripple's success or non-success with lobbying from 2020 and get you guys all caught up to date right after a word from our sponsor. The following is a paid advertisement. PrimeXBT is an established trading platform that was founded in 2018 and remained in business through the bear market. From my personal research, there are three main reasons they set themselves apart from other trading platforms: high leverage, low fees, and most importantly, privacy. PrimeXBT requires no user information to start trading. The newest module, called co-vesting, allows users to copy the trading activity of other users. Remember, any form of investing comes with significant risks, so do your own research. Use promo code SONOFATECH at signup for a 50% bonus. Welcome back. So this came to my attention essentially from a tweet from Hasu, and he stated, quote, "It's hard to spend $20 million better than on lobbying regulators. Going to be good for all DeFi in the long run." And for context, he linked a CoinDesk article that we will go over now. And its title says, "DeFi gets proactive about policy thanks to a $20 million grant from the Uniswap community." The freshly funded DeFi Education Fund, DEF for short, a new policy organization supported through Uniswap, turned half of the assets allocated to it by Uniswap governance, 500,000 Uni, around $10 million, into USDC via a trade facilitated by Genesis, it announced on Monday. Now, to give you guys an idea of what Genesis is, if you guys haven't been familiar, they are basically a custodial service that basically handles the custody of cryptocurrencies. Now, there has been obviously a lot of different opinions surrounding Genesis and how they function and if it's necessary. I'll leave that up to you guys, and maybe we can cover more detail on that custodial portion in a different video. If you'd like, let me know in the comment section below. Let's continue on though. DEF was created to advocate for policies friendly to DeFi globally. Mark Boran, which I'm not sure I pronounced that correct. It might be Boyron. One of the signatories to the group's multi-sig and a member of the group's steering committee told CoinDesk that deploying half the funds quickly was part of the plan communicated to Uni holders from the start. The fund was formed with 1 million Uni, worth a little over $19 million at press time, after receiving support from holders of Uniswap's Uni governance token. The vote closed on June 29th with 79.7 million Uni voting in favor and 15 million voting against. It's only the third proposal to successfully pass the Uniswap community's governance process. Many of the supporters of the proposal were very large wallets, though 2 of the top 10 largest wallets voting on the measure were in opposition. Quote, "I wouldn't say I feel that we're behind, but I think if we were to wait any longer, we would be behind." Who obviously that was Boyron, who also serves as general counsel at the options exchange DYDX. And he said that in a phone call. So there has been a Twitter created called the DeFi Education Fund, which, is the long form of DEF, which is what will be basically referring to this as. And they have stated already that they are looking for people to hire, specifically a policy director, to establish strategy for the DeFi Education Fund, engage with policymakers, and develop transparent reporting processes. This is getting to the point to where I think we've had these discussions before as far as what the base for cryptocurrency is, as far as from a idealistic standpoint, I suppose, and from the standpoint of what the principles of crypto are. Once again, I'm going to remind you guys, it is supposed to be enabling peer-to-peer transactions without the interference of a third party. In this particular case, not only is there a third party that has now been set up to control these funds, but these funds have been moved off of the chain as far as I understand. So what we have here is basically off-chain lobbying going on in the cryptocurrency market, which means we have a third party controlling the lobbyists or the lobbying for, DeFi with different governments. Now, as far as I understand, this isn't just the US, this is going to be governments across the world, and there will be lobbyists basically trying to make DeFi more favorable for, governments. And that is something that is a kind of a gray area when it comes to cryptocurrency. One of the biggest issues is these funds being moved off of the chain, which we've talked about with Ethereum and their problems with MEV and the off-chain deals being done with MEV. And that's not favorable in the eyes of most participants on cryptocurrency. And this is specifically, working with governments essentially within the crypto space or for the crypto space. Once again, I'm going to go back to that whole idea of the Ford Motor Company, where you had these cars and it was a new technology. However, you didn't have gas stations on every corner, so you would put a hitch on the car to be towed by a horse. And that is where we're at with this. Am I saying that we shouldn't have any lobbying going on? Not necessarily. I'm just putting out a red flag there and saying, hey, this doesn't necessarily stand in line with the original idea of cryptocurrency and what it's supposed to be doing and how it's supposed to be functioning. When these lobbyists go out, the next thing you're going to have to take into account is that it's going to put DeFi on the radar. To their point, as far as Boyron goes, I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, but to his point there, starting early, before DeFi is on the radar of major governments, etc., and lawmakers and regulators and policy makers, before it gets onto that, and it's on their radar, establishing, some lobbyists to basically go out there and influence the regulators ahead of time would be the way that you would want to do that, right? You want to get ahead of the ball. That being said, what it could do is basically put it on the radar earlier than needed and basically get regulators to start paying attention to it more heavily. We saw this with Ripple, and Ripple didn't do it to this extent. So Ripple employed lobbyist experts or lobbying experts in 2020. However, they really spent under $1 million lobbying, and that was around, I believe, $690,000 for the lobbying actions in the United States in particular. Now, if you guys aren't aware of what's been going on with Ripple, the SEC is after them now. And if we're talking about, what's going on with, regulations when it comes to Ripple, it's very clear that putting themselves on the roadmap here has made it kind of an attack vector against cryptocurrency. Now, Ripple in general has always been something that has not fallen in line with what I would consider the principles of crypto, as they state on their website that they do want to facilitate cryptocurrency and the use of cryptocurrency with global banking systems, making it easier to basically transfer between one banking system in one country and another banking system in another country. That was kind of the premise of Ripple. And that was, a point of contention for a lot of people within the cryptocurrency community, because we should be moving towards eliminating the need for these types of services. Now, obviously, it could be a good service for banks, and banks would want to adopt it to basically move money easier back and forth between different fiat currencies, at least to my understanding. That being said, my only point in bringing this up really is that what it did do was put them on the map for the SEC, who is now, investigating Ripple for being a security. We haven't really gone over Ripple in particular, but we can in the future, as far as what I think and what we see as far as it actually being a security or not being a security. And if you're interested in that, once again, let me know in the comment section below. Suffice to say, if you take a look at the crypto Twitter, a lot of people are not a fan of this. They think that it could go horribly wrong, and that it isn't the direction that we should be going for, DeFi in particular. There are arguments along the lines of it not being with the principles of crypto, like I stated before. Some other ones is lack of transparency in where that $20 million is going for the lobbyists, and basically accusations from the lines of flying private jets and having bar-side chats and, kind of just blowing through the money on expensive Lambos. Well, obviously I'm being facetious there, but that's the general idea. And because it would be moving off of the chain, in theory, this is accurate, right? Because there isn't any way to track where these funds are going or how they're being spent. Now, my assumption is that they will be working on, according to their tweet, somebody that will be handling the communications with the public on how the funds are being utilized. And I guess if you're okay with that, then you're good to go. I am really kind of in the middle here. Like I said, I have my reasons for believing that this may need to be done right now. However, I do have this whole hardline side of like the principles of crypto and being like, I'd rather the governments and the banks just stay out of it completely. That being said, it does feel like it's inevitable that the governments and the banking system will get into being involved within cryptocurrency. And in that case, then yes, you need some sort of regulations going on, and you need some lobbyists to help with those regulators to make the laws and make it, viable for everybody. This is quickly becoming, though, something that is being taken out of the hands of the general population and being put back into the hands of the top 1%. And a majority of it is being done around Ethereum lately. So when we're talking about different cryptocurrencies and whether they're centralized or acting in good faith for the everyday man, ETH seems to be moving further and further and further and further away from that, as well as the projects on top of ETH moving further and further and further away from that. And the problem is I feel like that could turn into a slippery slope. And so it's important that we're vocal about reminding people of the principles of cryptocurrency and the one CPU, one vote, peer-to-peer, without, banks and governments being involved, and making it clear that that was the original intention. And I feel like people are not talking about that point enough, and it lets these things slip by without that kind of double check of, hey, hold on, is this being done right? We understand some of this may be needing to be done, But is there a better way that we could be doing this where it's more transparent for the public as well? Is there a way to record all of these transactions on the blockchain, what's going where and when and how? Because if the great equalizer of cryptocurrency is anything, it is supposedly supposed to be transparency, where everything's recorded on the chain and everybody's aware of what transactions are being done. This is another reason why we talked about not wanting that security blanket of the government being able to reverse or completely remove transactions. If there is anything we can still hold on to, it should be making sure that all of the activity done on the blockchain or in regard to blockchain is recorded on the chains. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below, and I will see you next Tuesday. If you enjoyed this content, you can watch more by clicking this playlist up here, or go ahead and subscribe.